My Earth Splash would like a word. I can imagine what that word is. I'd tell you, but this is a family show. Begin.
The lines between good and evil have once again blurred in the DC universe as Nether Realms Studios returns with their second offering in the Injustice series. After a successful run with Mortal Kombat X, can the developers' latest IP follow up and improve on the experience they had with their first current generation title? Injustice 2 sticks to the original format of one-on-one gameplay. Like before, players are tasked with depleting 2 health bars to win the match. With the absence of health reset, defeating your opponent makes comebacks all the more daunting and certainly requires quick adaptation to pull out a victory.
First Joker, now this. When does it stop?
When there's no more crime.
Creating an engaging single-player experience has not been lost by Nether Realms Studios, and Injustice 2 looks to push the envelope even further. The new story mode continues from the aftermath of the first title, while doing some backtracking as a way to introduce some of the newer characters into the story. The plot managed to keep me interested for the most part, but things would have been far more appealing if I had more context from the comic books before I started. Nether Realms switches things up a little this time around, giving players the ability to choose between 2 characters at some points during the story. It was certainly a nice addition, but only seems to have a major impact on the plot during one scenario. Nonetheless, the rewards that each choice brings may be enough to prompt some to give this mode another run-through. Injustice 2's biggest feature, the gear system, is by far the most enticing element of the single-player experience. The multiverse mode certainly pushes this further as it seems to be the quickest way to collect gear and new abilities for each character. What makes the multiverse mode an even more intriguing proposition is the fact that challenges are updated constantly and are only available for a limited time. It is very apparent that the developers have successfully pushed the use of the Unreal Engine 3 much further than their last title. From the use of realistic motion capturing shown on the faces of each character, to the very detailed use of textures on both the amazing backgrounds and character costumes, there's no denying that NetherRealm Studios have spared no expense in making sure Injustice 2 shows the best of what this current generation has to offer. The soundtrack, while very dynamic in its choice for stage music, could use a little more variety, as identifying each track gets a bit challenging given the overall arrangement keeps a congruent theme. In terms of new gameplay mechanics, NetherRealm Studio plays it pretty safe, focusing primarily on the gear system to provide a fresh take on the series. Taking a cue from the customization style used in most role-playing games, players can continuously strengthen their characters while giving them some extra flair in the process. Leveling up your character will also unlock new abilities, which can ultimately change the way you use your character during matches. When it comes to the in-game strategy, keeping meter certainly plays much more of a role than it did in the previous version. The meter burn mechanic especially gives players some additional defense options this time around. Players now have the ability to break out of a juggle situation, though this new mechanic can certainly be used against you if you're not careful. The new meter burn rolling mechanic now allows players to escape incoming pressure situations in an attempt to maintain an equal advantage. Even with the endless possibilities with using meter, the clash system has returned and can turn the tide of battle very quickly in intense situations. As you might have already guessed, having so many options does not quite give players an incentive to hold out on activating supers, which requires your entire meter gauge to initiate. I see this as a big disappointment, given how amazing the cutscenes are for most of the cast. Nonetheless, utilizing meter to extend combos is still gratifying enough that players who are new and old to the system may not be too bothered by this. Nether Realms continues to please with the online experience, improving on the major changes they have made to their previous title, Mortal Kombat X. For the most part, the online options remain the same, with the new gear system once again filling the void for the newest online feature. Options are in place to keep the players' levels even, and there is a competitive mode selection as well for those that want to entertain serious matches. But this all relies on an honor system, as opponents have the final say on agreeing to these choices. Nether Realms is evidently doing their best to make sure players get the best connection during the matchmaking process for player and ranked matches. Players can see their opponent's connection information before agreeing to a match, and they even go as far as to add a new connection indicator that can detect a wireless or wired setup. My only issue with the two matchmaking modes was the lack of an accurate ping, which was surprisingly available in both Rooms and King of the Hill modes. Outside of this small oversight, it's pretty hard to complain. The online gameplay is excellent, bearing the fact that you not run into bad connections. Even in bad connections, matches are not too excruciating to deal with, as teleporting and underwater gameplay did not seem to be apparent. Injustice 2 is no doubt a giant technological leap over the previous title. In a time where the single-player experience feels like it's on the verge of extinction, NetherRealm seems adamant in quieting those fears. There's something here for everyone, and it shows in each game mode that they offer. It would have been nice to see them take more risks in their game mechanics, but the ambitious gear system more than makes up for what could have been. Overall, Injustice 2 is worth the price of admission, and with more content on the way, there is enough here to keep you entertained until the next offering comes around.